Have you ever been in a relationship where deep down something feels off? Nothing obvious is wrong, they text you, they spend time with you. On the surface, everything looks normal. But there's this quiet thought that keeps creeping into your mind. If I disappeared tomorrow, would they really miss me? Maybe you've caught yourself overanalyzing small things. The way they respond slower than before. How easily they cancel plans. How quickly they seem fine after an argument. And suddenly you start wondering, am I actually important to them? Or am I just someone who could be replaced? That feeling, the quiet fear of being replaceable, is one of the most psychologically confusing emotions in relationships. Because sometimes it's completely in your head. But other times, your brain is picking up signals you haven't consciously understood yet. So the real question is this: is the feeling of being replaceable a psychological illusion, or a warning sign your mind is trying to decode? By the end of this video, you'll know the difference. Most dating advice videos will tell you something simple. Just be confident. Know your worth. Don't care what they think. But human attraction and attachment don't work like motivational quotes. Real relationships operate through subtle psychological signals, micro-expressions, attachment cues, behavioral investment patterns, even hormones like oxytocin that shape emotional bonding. Your brain is constantly analyzing these signals through what psychologists call validation bias, the tendency to search for evidence that confirms your fears. That means sometimes we convince ourselves we're replaceable, even when we're not. But other times, we ignore signals that clearly show we are being treated as optional. In this video, we're going deeper, not surface-level dating advice. We're going to break down 5 psychological signs that explain why you might feel replaceable in a relationship. More importantly, we'll also talk about the false positives, moments when your brain is misreading the situation. Because understanding the difference, that's what emotional intelligence actually looks like. In the last sign, almost no one talks about it. But once you notice it, you can't unsee it. Before we start, a quick question for you. Have you ever felt replaceable in a relationship before? Be honest. If the answer is yes, drop a 1 in the comments. You'll probably be surprised how many people relate to this. Sign 1: unequal emotional investment. Imagine the situation. You're the one initiating most conversations. You're the one planning dates. You're the one trying to keep the emotional connection alive. Meanwhile, the other person participates, but rarely initiates. This creates a subtle psychological imbalance called asymmetrical investment. Relationships feel secure when both partners are investing energy. But when one person consistently carries the emotional weight, the brain starts asking a dangerous question. If I stopped trying, would this relationship even exist? And here's the biological reason. Human attraction responds strongly to reciprocity signals. When someone mirrors your effort, texting back, initiating plans, showing curiosity, your brain releases small amounts of oxytocin, reinforcing attachment. But when the effort isn't returned, your brain interprets it as low value in the social hierarchy, which creates the feeling of being replaceable. But here, where most people misinterpret this sign, sometimes the imbalance has nothing to do with attraction. Some people simply have different attachment styles. Someone with avoidant tendencies may care deeply, but express investment less frequently. So before assuming you're replaceable, ask yourself this: are they disengaged or just less expressive? There's a big difference. But the next sign, that one's harder to explain away. Sign 2: you feel easily postponed. Think about the last time you made plans. Did they treat that time like it mattered? Or did it feel flexible? Maybe they cancel last minute. Maybe they reschedule constantly. Maybe you're always the backup option. Psychologically, this triggers something called priority ranking. Every person subconsciously organizes their relationships by importance. Not maliciously, just naturally. When someone consistently treats time with you as negotiable, your brain interprets it as a low priority signal. And that's where the replaceable feeling begins. Because if your presence isn't protected, it can feel like anyone else could fill that slot. But there's an important false positive here. Modern life is chaotic. Work stress, responsibilities, sometimes people genuinely struggle with scheduling. So the real signal isn't occasional cancellation. It's pattern behavior. If someone constantly protects time with people they value, but not with you, that's meaningful data. And if you've ever experienced that, you know how quietly painful it can feel. Sign 3, you overperform for validation. This one is subtle, and most people don't realize they're doing it. When someone fears being replaceable, they often overcompensate, becoming extra supportive, extra available, and constantly trying to prove their value. But psychologically, this can backfire. It signals uncertainty about your own worth, shifting the dynamic from two people choosing each other to one person trying to earn their place. So ask yourself honestly, are you giving freely or giving because you're afraid of being replaced? Danger zone when the feeling comes from you. Not every feeling of being replaceable comes from the other person. Sometimes it comes from something psychologists call projection bias. If you've experienced rejection before, your brain becomes hyper-alert to signs of abandonment. Small delays in texting feel like disinterest. Neutral expressions feel like emotional distance. Normal independence feels like detachment. In neuroscience, this is connected to the limbic system, the emotional threat detector in your brain. It's constantly scanning for danger in relationships, which means sometimes the feeling of being replaceable is actually a memory from the past replaying in the present. Have you ever noticed yourself doing this? Overanalyzing something that later turned out to be nothing? If that's happened to you, you're not alone. But the final sign we're about to discuss, that one almost never comes from imagination. Before we get to it, a quick moment. If this video is helping you understand relationship psychology on a deeper level, take 2 seconds and hit the like button. It tells the algorithm this kind of content matters, and it helps more people stop overthinking their relationships. Now let's talk about the signal most people miss. Sign 4, your absence changes nothing. Here's a powerful psychological test. What happens when you pull back slightly and focus on your own life, not as a game, just naturally? Do they notice? Do they reach out, or does nothing change? Healthy relationships create emotional synchronization, something psychologists call limbic resonance. When one person's energy shifts, the other feels it. If your absence goes unnoticed, the connection may never have been deep, and that feeling of being replaceable might actually be feedback. Final sign, the signal that can't be faked. This is what I call the investment reflex. When someone truly values you, they instinctively protect the relationship. They defend it. They prioritize it. They put effort into maintaining it. Not because they're forced to, because losing it would actually hurt. When this instinct exists, you never feel replaceable. Even during conflict. Even during distance. Because their behavior consistently communicates one message. You matter. But when that reflex isn't there, the relationship feels fragile. Like you're standing in a place someone else could easily occupy. And here's the truth most people avoid hearing. Feeling replaceable isn't always about someone else's behavior. Sometimes it's about staying in dynamics where you were never truly valued. So here's the real question. Next time you notice that feeling creeping in, will you immediately assume something is wrong with you? Or will you step back, analyze the signals, and see the relationship clearly? Because emotional intelligence in dating isn't about manipulation. It's about perception, understanding human behavior, and choosing relationships where your presence actually matters. If this video made you rethink something about your relationships, hit like because it helps this channel reach people who need this perspective. And I want to hear your experience. Have you ever felt replaceable in a relationship? What caused that feeling? Drop it in the comments. And if you want deeper psychology breakdowns on attraction, emotional intelligence, and human behavior, make sure you subscribe. Because in the next video, we're going to break down something most people misunderstand. Why do people lose attraction even when nothing bad happens? And once you understand that psychology, you'll start seeing relationships very differently.